it seems like every time Sony does something great, there is always some bad news to follow. That's how I want to start this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to retweet. It'd be very, 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 very important. It's very good for the channel. I really, really, really appreciate it. I am tired as shit, but I figured I wanted to get all of this out and make sure everything is copacetic. There is a lot to unpack here, and I want to make sure that I make this shit as quick as possible. Y'all know how my videos are. So there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points I want to talk about with the meeting or the interview of Herman Host. So he's a I don't know manager for PlayStation Studios and stuff like that. So as you already heard, the poor, horrible, horrible news that God of War Ragnarok is going to go out and be a PlayStation 4 game as well as a PlayStation 5 game. Um, and the entire internet is in an uproar. No one knows exactly what the fuck is going on. Why would Sony do that? Why did I buy a PlayStation 5? I thought Jim Bryan believed in generations, right? So we're going to touch up on all of those things. As I said, we got 9 points. First and foremost, let's get right into it. Do you remember when Sony or Mark Cerny had that whole PlayStation 5 conference? You remember we had that shit, on road to PS5, and he states why the level of designs for our generations past was a certain way. How most of them were like a windy road. You remember that? And he mentioned as to why. And he said that basically the system had to load and catch up, and it hasn't changed since the PS2 generation. And now that the PS5 is actually creating new ways of making levels and stuff like that. We all heard about that. So it turns out, it looks to be that the reason why you have those issues in general, or the reason why people, that what differentiates the next generation is going to be loading. Loading is the thing that is the big thing. That's what restricts the developer, right? Sony did something because we have Ghost of Tsushima that loads instantly on these old ass hard drives. We have no idea how they're doing it, compression, whatever the case is. Sucker Punch says something about delegating the information, and that's how they're able to do it. Maybe they shared that technology on to everybody else. People think that cross gen is just going to completely limit everything, but I beg to. I want to say basically there's diminishing returns when we move from 16-bit to 32-bit. That went from 2D to 3D, as you know, and then we went from PlayStation 1 to PlayStation 2, which like almost what is it? Almost like 20 to 50 times the amount of things that could be on the screen at once. And then the PS3 allow for texture micro details, such as normal maps or parallax occlusion maps. And then the PS4 was the bigger levels, the more detailed characters. So where does that leave PS5? Peach Fuzz. Little details like that, where Aloy has Peach Fuzz on her face. That is those type of micro details that can be removed for a previous generation. So again, we're back to loading. Loading is the fucking issue. Loading is the issue. And maybe they have a new algorithm or some sort of compression technique that allows for them to load it, or maybe they want to play a cutscene while it loads in the background. We don't really know. Another way that they can kind of work with this is to basically have the entire world map segmented. You know what I'm saying? So it won't completely like fill up the system memory and make that work. There's always in programming ways of slicing data up. There will always be that. You know what I'm saying? So it's all a math game. If you can only do certain amount of information, well, then you need to pick what information needs to be streamed or whatever the case is. And that's how you get scalability. You know what I'm saying? I did see on Twitter, uh, what's his name? Colin Moriarty or whatever the fuck his name is. He was pissed about this cross gen, like super upset, super upset. He was like, I don't want to hear the PlayStation, you leaving 110 million people or on the table. I don't want to hear that. Blah 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 blah. So here's the thing, right? He should know better because he's been in the generations. I think he's just flat out just upset, and he just wants to have see what these consoles can do. I'm gonna be honest with you though. Those games did not cost $300 million to make, and there has to be a way to recoup your money. There has to be a way to recoup your money. If you cannot recoup your money, you are shit out of luck. That's it. How do you think they're going to get that money? How do you think they're going to get that money? Do you know? You have it? So this is one of the reasons why they're not leaving 110 million people on the table. The games are way too fucking expensive, and if anything is indicative of Sony is committed to quality, you should just look at fucking Horizon Forbidden West. They could have easily skimped out on that shit, easily. But you see here that although it's cross-gen, it's one of the most next-gen looking games out there. Sure, you got things that pop in and stuff like that. Sure, you do. But at the end of the day, it still has next generation qualities. We don't know if they're going to add not reflections, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, reflections, water physics. We don't fucking know. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know. We do know that this is Sony's first foray in, cross-gen shit. So that's what we know. But I found it was disingenuous for Colin to actually make those particular statements when he's been in the industry for a while. Not making games, although he is trying to, but knowing that those games are way more money than what it used to be back in the day. And then they didn't have a pandemic to worry about. Games cost 50 million shit, you know what I'm saying? Now you got 300 million. Every game is like a full-fledged fucking GTA game. So the other thing, like I said before, people were mentioning this. Why even make a cross-generation game when stuff like Miles Morales is doing so well, right? You remember, people, we see this all the time, where Miles Morales keeps shooting up in the charts. Why? I think, honestly, no one wants to play a difficult game like Returnal or Demon Souls, which are exclusives, right? So they pick up Miles Morales because it still looks nice. They want a showpiece, and it's cheaper. It's the cheapest fucking game that you can, next generation game that you can get. I don't understand how people don't know this. But even if with the Miles Morales being that much money, here's the funny thing, right? What about third-party games? Most third-party games, they make 70% of their profits from PlayStation. Okay, so if that's the case, out of that 70%, how much are the PS5s attributing to? That's what you need to look at. That's how much money they're leaving out on the table. Maybe they will be successful, maybe it won't be. Regardless of the matter, they're still leaving money on the table, to not do cross-gen or PC gaming as well after you get your worth. That's the thing. That is the thing. And people need to understand that when it comes to console games, right? When it comes to console games, what was I going to say? Hold on. I had it up here. Hold on. Wait. When it comes to consoles, each segment, in gaming, I should say, cell phone players play certain games. PC players play certain games. Console players play certain games. They don't cross-pollinate ever. Or if they do, it's a very, very, very small percentage. You're not going to win anybody over, but you are leaving money on the table. That's one thing for sure. And people need to understand the purpose for consoles. I keep fucking saying this over and over and over again. The purpose for consoles is the low price barrier. That is it. It's not even about the complications of building a PC. It's just cheaper, period. The PS5 is a $400 console if you get the digital edition. Whereas just the fucking graphics card in any capacity is $200 plus. Then you have to buy everything the fuck else. Even if you have your own monitor or use your TV, it's more expensive. If that was the case, Fortnite would have done most of its numbers on a PC. But nope, 70% of that shit, 60 to 70% of it went to PlayStation. Why? Because they don't charge for playing free to play games. That's why the numbers didn't really uh, attribute on the Xbox. I just don't. I mean, some of the things that I'm looking at here, and then people don't understand why people Sony is doing this with their. People get drawn in by the exclusives, and then they stay there for the third party. That's how that works. I mean, I was just like writing all this shit down as I was going, and I'm glad I kind of structured this shit. I'm sorry for it being a little bit long at the beginning. This PlayStation is so needed that Cyberpunk is suffering dramatically. A good amount of the sales were on PS4 and 5. And then when Sony cut that shit, they don't even want to show the growth of Cyberpunk because they need Sony. Sony is a big player in the gaming industry, and people don't want to give it that play. And last but not least, before we close out with this video, I guarantee you all these people complaining about this shit, if Sony would have told you that Horizon Forbidden West, like 3 months from now, was a cross-generation game, everybody would have been like, Jesus Christ, this is the best looking game I've ever fucking seen. That's why I like Sony. Look at what they're doing. They do blah, 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 blah. That's what they would have said. That's what they would have said. Because Horizon Forbidden West does not look like a cross-generation game. Sony is on a different level when it comes to their games. Regardless of what fucking device they use, it always looks way over the competition because of the smart shortcuts that they create and whatever the case is. Regardless, I know people want to say, oh, I want to see how far they could take it. We got a whole 5 years left, 6 years left to see what the PS5 can do. Fucking relax. Think about what we had last generation. Killzone Shadowfall. Knack. 5 months later, we had Infamous Second Son. Boy, that was a beautiful game. But we had to wait until 2015, 16 for Uncharted, which was the next step up. And then everything started coming into play where all these games look really, really beautiful. Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, whatever the case is. And speaking of that, this was a little PS, a little extra subject. What do you think with the the gameplay of God of War? What do you think they could have added to that game? What do you think they could have added that would make that a next generation experience? Because what I'm looking at next generation, and this is coming from a person that used to program, the only thing you're doing is adding an extra fresh coat of paint. Now, Mark certainly mentioned something about loading. Yeah, you got the loading shit going on here. That's cool. But at the same time, when it comes to next generation, and then the Unreal, the nanite technology, where you have like basically the polygons depending on your distance. That's how that would work. That would be the only extra thing that they could really add for this generation, and then adding extra effects and ray tracing and stuff like that. But in terms of gameplay wise, what exactly are you missing? Leave that shit in the comments. I want to know. But thank you so much for watching. I want to make sure I kept everything organized. But you're going to see this podcast on Saturday. Yep. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Please, and thank you.